thank you very much, Mrs. Logaldo, for introducing me and having me here to speak today. Now, before I get into my speech, I'm going to do an activity with all of you. So if everyone could please just stand up. I don't really like that, all right? Everyone just sit down. Sit down. All right, I liked it the way it was before. Everyone get right back up. All right, now everyone just point up to the sky, like that. All right, perfect. Now everyone roll your head from side to side. Come on. All right, that is beautiful. That is just beautiful. Now, on the count of 3, I need everyone to go, woo! 1, 2, 3. All right. Now, Simon says, please sit down. All right, guys. Thank you very much for participating in that little bit of an activity. That was to give you guys a little glimpse of what I go through every day. As you all know, my name is Justin Bachman, and I'm a 9th grader at Solon High School. Now, that activity was to give you guys a little glimpse of a disease that I have called Tourette syndrome. Now, how many of you guys have ever heard of Tourette syndrome? All right, that's good. I know you guys had Speaker Mark Elliott here, so I won't go into too much detail about it. What Tourette syndrome does is it causes me to have uncontrollable twitches, movements, and say things that I cannot control. These are all called tics. So, if you can't tell, I am a little bit different with my noises and my movements, but the most obvious thing is that I am in a wheelchair. Now, the craziest thing about me being here in a wheelchair to talk to all of you is that 2 years ago, when I was in 7th grade, just going into the middle school at Solon, I was a very active part of the cross-country team and had run a half marathon. That's just what my Tourette's does. It is ridiculous. Now, in addition to my Tourette syndrome, I also have a disease called ADHD and a disease called dysgraphia, which is a handwriting and fine motor skill disorder. That's just a very few amount. As people in my family say, my issues have issues. So, I face challenges every day being as different as I am. And these challenges have allowed me to see the world a little bit differently. So, I've done what I can do to try to stop intolerance by showing you how I see the world. What I want to do is tell you guys some of my stories that'll show you how I see the world and hopefully change a little bit of how you see it too. Now, the first story I want to tell you guys happened a couple days ago and relates to people doing things that just aren't necessary. I was rolling through the halls and I was going to my 7th period class, and behind me there were these 2 kids talking, and I didn't want to eavesdrop, but they said something that really threw me. As they were talking about how they were going to get in trouble with their teacher. They were saying about how it was hysterical because a kid in their class thought it would be funny to pretend to have Tourette syndrome. Really, I didn't really know what to do, and all I was thinking was, when did that make sense? I wanted to turn around and ask them if they had ever heard of the golden rule. Now, another thing that's happened to me took place a couple years ago when I was invited to a bat mitzvah, and I was super excited to go. I had known a lot of people that were going. I was going to party it up. I was going to dance like a fool. Going to have a great time. Unfortunately, 2 weeks before the party, my parents had gotten a call from the kid's mom saying that I shouldn't go to the party because my Tourette syndrome would be disruptive. Now, if you can all imagine for a second how I might have felt. I was crushed and I felt very excluded. But when you think about it, people get excluded from things every day. Have you ever excluded someone? Or have you ever been excluded? People get excluded in the lunchroom, walking with friends, going to movies, even hanging out with other people. So again, think about it, if you've ever been excluded or excluded someone. Now, My past two stories have been fairly serious and not very fun, but one of the ways that I deal with a lot of my challenges is through humor. A lot of the things that I've gone through have been pretty funny. Over the summer, I was at the Cleveland airport going down to Atlanta for a camp for kids with Tourette's called Camp Twitch and Shout. Twitch and Shout, get it? Like tick? So, I was going through the airport and I was going through security, doing my thing, making noises. Now, think for a second in your head, what is the worst thing you can yell out in an airport? If you thought the word bomb, you're correct. So, as you can imagine, I'm causing quite a ruckus going through security, screaming out the word bomb, and the people at security were going through both my suitcase and my carry-on bag looking for the bomb that I was apparently yelling about. That was one of the funnest things that I've ever gone through. Yeah, no. So the outcome of this was that they felt bad. So, I had to take one for the team, and I decided to fly first class. No biggie. It was good. Now, one of the craziest things that has ever happened to me happened in the fall of 2010 when I was in 8th grade. I was at a cross-country meet in Boardman, Ohio, and there were runners from about 30 teams at the starting line, including my teammates and I. The officials were going over the rules, and I was doing my thing, making noises as I usually do. The referees thought I was trying to be obnoxious, and they told me to shut up. I tried to explain my condition to them, to tell them that I couldn't control the noises that I was making, but I was told to shut up. Again. Thankfully, my teammates had known about my Tourette syndrome and were there to have my back. They also, guess what, were told to shut up. The final result of this was that I was disqualified from that race, and I was not allowed to have my time count for my team. After the race, my teammates had come up to me, and they told me that they had run one of the fastest races of their life, so they could get to the finish line to tell an adult what had happened. The point that I want you all to take from this story is how hard my friends tried to make things right. They tried to explain it, and they went to go get an adult. I know that it can be very challenging to admit that you're wrong and to try to get an adult, because whenever I feel I can handle something, I do everything I can to keep it in my power. And I've told my friends many times how wonderful it was that they had stood up for me and that they had helped me out. That day had started a fire inside me to try whatever I can to stop people from having to experience what I did. I've done many projects and talks to try to spread the message of tolerance. Last year, my family and I held what we called the first Community Tolerance Fair. We had introduced about 1,000 people that were in the crowd to 48 charities and advocacy groups that were there. Our goal was to get people into volunteer work and to show them how they could get involved in their community. I took out of that you don't need to have a great giant event to help people. You can do things on a little scale to help people out and make a difference every day. I've heard a lot of times, and I know that it's true, that to the world, you may be one person. But if you help out to one person, you may be the world. And all of us have opportunities every day to make a difference. If we just take them, the world can be a better place. Now, I've shared a lot of stories with you today, and hopefully you've gotten a glimpse of what I go through on a daily basis. Now, I want to show you guys a little bit of how intolerance can affect people. So we've had 4 volunteers that were pre-selected. If they could come up now, we're going to need your assistance.